What's up, guys? You are watching Gregorio Girls Makeup. If you're new, my name's Shauna and I run this channel with my sister Devin, and in today's video I'm actually doing something kind of different, more of a commentary video if you will, and it is my response on the collab that Hannah from Smokey Glow and RawBeautyKristi did when they talked about is the influencer bubble bursting. So let's get right into it. But anyway, like I said, this video is going to be my response to Smokey Glow and RawBeautyKristi's collab from just a few days ago when they talked about is the influencer bubble bursting and is the makeup community crumbling and all that stuff. Not really, they didn't say that, but whatever. So really, I just wanted to add my thoughts because this is something that Devin and I actually talk about a lot, and I think Kristi and Hannah both hit a lot of really important topics, and it just kind of inspired me to want to share my opinion, even though no one asked. So two of the topics that I want to focus on that they both touched on is the influencer bubble actually bursting? Are we actually seeing the fall of influencers? And then the second is the whole thing with how makeup brands have been kind of like non-stop churning out products, and there hasn't been, just a few big launches every couple months. How we've been now bombarded with more product, and how we kind of have fallen back on the quality of the product just so there can be more quantity. So let's start with influencers. So do I think the influencer bubble is necessarily bursting? No. I agree a lot with what Kristi and Hannah had said. The gist of what each of them were kind of saying was there's not really a fall in influencers, there's just really a shift happening on the type of influencers people want to follow. And I think we're coming to a point where there's this breaking point and people really just want to watch authenticity and people just really want to relate to the influencers, and I feel like that was the original appeal of influencers before everything started getting a lot of traction and influencers started being more like celebrities. I think the original appeal was because we're watching people who are just like you and I. So Kristi mentioned in her video that with advertising, it just used to be all celebrity endorsements. Pantene, CoverGirl, like all of it. Aveeno, we see like Jennifer Aniston and Katy Perry and just a celebrity spokesperson for these brands. And then with the rise of YouTube and all of this stuff, we have everyday people like you and I who are interested in makeup representing us on YouTube by going out, buying the products, reviewing them. And these are people that were like, oh, they go to school, or they also have, whatever in their life that we can relate to. We have these people also representing us on this mutual interest of makeup, and they're buying it and they're giving an honest review. And we don't just have to rely on Britney Spears or Katy Perry, who we can't really relate too much to. We basically have like a representative who is letting us know if this product is worth our money or if it's not. So because that relatability was the original appeal of influencers in the beginning, I feel like it has now bubbled up. It's gotten a lot of traction. It's become very popular. Like Kristi said, these people built an influence, they built an audience, so where the views and the people are, that's where the advertising and the money's gonna follow. So now these people have gotten a lot of attention, a lot of opportunities to make a lot of money, and just have a lot of other opportunities in general. And their online presence has really grown, and social media itself has just really grown. And I think now we're just kind of seeing a new version of celebrity, just like a social media online version of a celebrity at this point. And I think, not that it's not great that those opportunities are there for people to grow a following and have this influence. So I think it's all starting to boil over, and it's coming to a point where the majority of us viewers can't really relate anymore, especially if the content is so much of just kind of flaunting $1 million lifestyle. That's not me saying that they shouldn't have the lifestyle that they built. It's great that they did that. It's great that their work paid off and their opportunity is there. But sometimes as they grow into a new lifestyle, and a lot of us can't relate to that anymore. And I think when an influencer's relatability really starts to go down, that's where people start to lose interest. And speaking of like flaunting that $1 million lifestyle, I think a lot of the influencers in the beauty space are young people, like teens to young adults. And I think sometimes when you mix a young person with a lot of money, a lot of fame relatively quickly, and you throw in this culture of like flexing and flaunting on Instagram that we have as well, I think that's where a lot of people start to begin to get a little too big for their britches. And I think viewers can sense that. You know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to grow and wanting to have a certain lifestyle. Again, I think that's great. But I think sometimes these people tend to get really cocky and just really, not even confidence, like cocky and just rude and entitled, and I think that's where the disconnect comes in with the audience and the viewers. And I don't mind, like, I like seeing nice things. I don't mind seeing your closet tour or your bougie like vlog from your trip. But also when you mix that with being like just a cocky butt crack, I think just it turns people off and people don't like it and they fall out of love with the influencer. And keeping with that influencer relatability theme, Hannah Smokey Glow in her video mentions that she thinks that the shift is also going to be towards more relatable influencers. So she said that she thinks there's going to be less cookie cutter channels, you know, not the perfect background, not the perfect filming setup, perfect lighting, perfect looking person. She says that she thinks it's going to be, again, more like everyday and relatable people, and I agree, and I think it'll be refreshing. And I think this whole idea of just being real and honest to your subscribers is how Kristi and Hannah both have built such loyal audiences. And this is not me trying to kiss anybody's butt. Please hold those comments. And I know for me, like, I'm a loyal audience member of both of theirs as well, because these are girls that I feel like I know. This is our everyday person. I relate to them on multiple levels and multiple interests that they talk about on their channel. So I think that is how you build a super loyal audience. And I think that's what the makeup community viewers are craving at this point. And I think we see less and less of these types of channels right now is because Kristi said in her video, when you keep your integrity at the forefront, it's harder to grow because you're saying no. As you get bigger, you're saying no to a lot of different opportunities. And I'm glad that there are bigger influencers who don't sacrifice their morals and their values for those types of things, because I think that's now going to start to be the demand for the norm. Okay, so now let's talk about the bombardment of products within the last year. So now it's started to be the norm for brands to just crank out product after product after product, and we've just been being hit with a bunch of new launches all over the place. I don't even like to watch PR unboxings because when influencers have like a bajillion boxes, I get stressed watching it because I'm like, that is so much shit. First of all, where are you gonna put that? You probably have a lot of places to put it in your $1 million home, but I'm just like, what are you doing with all that? It just creates like so much clutter and trash, and it stresses me out to see that much product. So Hannah mentions in her video that she thinks that this constant overload of new product is where we're gonna see the bubble burst, and I agree. They use ColourPop and Anastasia Beverly Hills. Both, I think her and Kristi mentioned those two examples in each of their videos. And I agree, like just constantly, all these brands constantly pumping out these products. Of course, those aren't the only two brands doing it, but all of them doing that is just too much. I think I said this earlier, but the majority of the audience and viewers of the makeup community are teens to young adults. So I don't know about you, but like, unless you're an influencer or somebody who's like got a lot, like who in that age range has a bunch of money to go around to be buying all those products? And I think people are getting tired of it because they can't just keep pumping money into makeup when they have other things to pay for. And we especially don't want an overload of products if quality is going to suffer. I'd rather have a few good launches a year that I can save up for, or save up for some of them and be able to purchase and have for a while, than just have a bunch of crap being thrown at me from all directions. So I think from the influencer and brand side, people are really just wanting more authenticity, more honesty, more ethical practices. I think that's where we're seeing the demand. And one more thing I want to mention is towards the end of her video, Hannah mentioned how some sponsorships with some brands and influencers have made it hard to tell if the influencer is telling the truth about a product or not. Now, I've never had a brand deal, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but in my opinion, I think we need to ask the questions of, okay, how can we make it the norm that when the talks of a sponsorship is happening between a brand and an influencer, how can it be the norm that the brand knows just because you're sending this product doesn't mean that it's automatically going to get a glowing review? So for me, again, I know that I have no experience with this. I'm just basing it off of the little knowledge that I have, and what I'd like to see as far as like honesty goes is I think it would be great if the norm was that the brand sends the influencer the product, gives them enough time to try it out for themselves, and then they can decide if they really like it, and then seal the deal on whatever the terms are of the review. If they only want to work with people that give them a good review, then they're going to have to send products to a few people and see if they like it, and only go with the people who it worked for. If you only want a good review since you're paying for it, obviously they're paying for it, so they don't want a shitty review, and I get that, but that doesn't mean that the influencer is automatically obligated just to give you a good review. But overall, I think we just need to work towards it being an honest and authentic end result. And the power's with the people. So the demand from the viewers, in my opinion, I feel like we're starting to see that shift of people wanting authenticity and honesty. And that shouldn't be hard. So if the influencer doesn't like the product, they should not be doing a glowing review on something that they wouldn't actually spend money on themselves, because that's called selling out, and that's called lying to your audience. And that's the whole problem in the first place. So I really think, again, we need to start asking the questions of how we can have the brands and the influencers get that mutual respect for each other. How can we have the influencers not sell out just for some money and some notoriety? And how do we make sure that the brands aren't just taking advantage of the fact that this whole influencer marketing space is very new, and I think sometimes influencers can get taken advantage of. We don't want to paint the brands just as bullies. I know that that's not how it goes, but there needs to be some type of respectful, respectable, and honest relationship and honest dealings going on in these sponsorships. So with that being said, if you've ever had a brand deal and you have input, please leave it for me in the comments below. Please let us know how it works. If I misspoke on something about the process or whatever, or if there's something that I mentioned is not possible, again, please let us know in the comments. I'd love to learn about how that process works. I'd love to learn a lot more about that. But again, these are just my opinions, and I myself am obviously a very like micro channel, but I'm also a consumer and a viewer, and I want that authenticity from the people that I watch too. And I think that needs to be the culture shift in the beauty space, is flexing and flaunting and trying to be like these A-list celebrities and falling out of touch with, you know, your humility and your authenticity. It's not good. And I think we're seeing audiences starting to get tired of that. So I really enjoyed the two videos from Kristi and Hannah. I hope to see more content like that. I really think it's important to get these conversations going. So it was really cool of Kristi and Hannah to do this collab and really help get the ball rolling on these conversations, and I hope to see more content from them commenting on these types of things so that we can see change, because people who have influence and who can talk about these things, I think it's great that they're using their platforms to help change the community that they're in. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and comments on this as well, and I will see you later.